Hello friends, welcome to a new reading vlog. In this vlog I do not have a specific TBR, but there are books I want to read, so I will see which ones I pick along the way. For now I have already read two books. The first one being an essay by Hannah Arendt. It's an essay that is called We Refugees, and it's about what it was like being a Jewish person during World War II and having to leave the country you were born and raised in and never finding a home, never having a home, because even though you put all the efforts you can into trying to integrate, to really impersonate the nationality and be respectful, and no matter what you did, you could not belong to the country you were living in. It's really interesting to read. It makes you think a lot about many things. So I do recommend. It's not an easy read, but it is something that one should read, I think. The next book I read is a much lighter read. It is Les Orangers de Versailles by Annie Pietri. It's a French book once again, and there is a little story behind this book. I actually read this book more than 10 years ago, I think, when I was around 8 years old, and I really loved this book. It tells the story of a girl who's living at the court of Louis XIV. So he was known as Le Roi Soleil, living in Le Château de Versailles. He was also known for his gigantic feasts and everything. And so we're following a girl who has a little gift. She's very talented with perfumes, and she is employed by one of the lovers of Louis XIV, and she has to make her some perfumes that she can wear to be the most exquisite woman around the king. And there are some plots. Some people are trying to kill some other people. It's very well written for a children's book. It's interesting. It's a one-shot, I think, and it was such a good moment that I had reading this book again 10 years later. So I do recommend this one. Now, yesterday I started the second volume of Sauveur et Fils, which I introduced to you in the video where I talked about books to learn French. And well, it's just as good as the first volume was. We're following Sauveur, who's a psychologist, and we're following him along his daily life, meeting with his patients and the story of each of them, while still having the background of his personal life, which is sometimes mixing with his professional life. It's a really feel-good feel-good book, and I am halfway through, so I'm having a great time reading it, and I can't wait to see what it has to show next. Well, that is all for today for what I have to show you. I will take you again once I am done with this one, and I will pick my next read. See you! Hey friends, I am here with a little update. I have finished reading Sauveur et Fils by Marie-Aude Murail. I loved this book just like the previous one. This book is kind of therapeutic to read because it makes me reflect on emotions and reactions I might have had in the past, or in situations where sometimes I didn't understand what the other person could feel or was thinking, and through the experience of the characters of this book, it's what is happening in me. So I really liked this book. I also read this morning The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's a really short book. It's very difficult to summarize, so I'm just gonna read the summary at the back, and there's also a little passage I would like to share with you. So, The Little Prince is a classic tale of equal appeal to children and adults. On one level, it is the story of an airman's discovery in the desert of a small boy from another planet, the little prince of the title, and his stories of intergalactic travel, while on the other hand, it is a thought-provoking allegory of the human condition. It is great. My father has always been telling me that this book should be read every 10 years. That's the first time I am properly reading it, but well, maybe when I'm 30 I will read it again. The little extract I'm going to read is when the little prince meets a geographer and he has a discussion with him. So, your planet is very beautiful. Are there any oceans? I have no way of knowing, said the geographer. Oh, the little prince was disappointed. And any mountains? I really couldn't tell you that either, said the geographer. And cities and rivers and deserts? I have no way of knowing that either, said the geographer. But you are a geographer. Exactly, said the geographer, but I am not an explorer. I have no explorers on my planet. It is not the geographer's task to count the cities, the rivers, the mountains, the oceans, and the deserts. The geographer is far too important to waste his time browsing around. He never leaves his office, but he receives explorers. He questions them and notes down what they recall of their travels. And if the recollections of one of them seem interesting to him, the geographer orders an inquiry into the explorer's moral character. Just let it sink and think about it, I think. It's very powerful, I think. Anyways, that was The Little Prince. And now I think I will move on to The Witch Hat Atelier. It is a series of manga. I have already read the first volume and now I have just gotten the 4 next volumes. I am really looking forward to reading it. It's basically the story of Coco, who is a little girl and she has always dreamt of becoming a witch. Only thing is that one can be a witch if one has had magical powers or abilities when they were born, and it's not the case of Coco, or at least that's what we think at first. But then Coco meets with a male witch who's Kifri, and she sees him drawing magical runes and having magical powers, and so when she gets back home she tries drawing these runes as well, but it turns out that she transforms her mother into a stone statue and she cannot undo the spell. So she is going to become Kifri's apprentice, and since she doesn't know how to undo the spell and she doesn't even know what spell she cast on her mother, she's going to try, undo and unwrap the mystery around all that with Kifri. The first volume was wonderful. The drawings, goodness, the drawings are marvelous. So that's what I've been reading next, and then I have no clue, I will see. Well, I am going to tell you see you soon, and I'm going to get back to reading. Hi friends, so I am here with a little update. I read the 2 next volumes of Witch Hat Atelier, and I have to say I loved the next volumes even more than the first one. The author really makes her world immersive. She explains how every single thing works, how the magic, the runes are drawn, how every single object is used for a specific thing. It's wonderful. It almost made me feel like a witch myself, and it's not in every manga that every single page is beautiful. There is none that is a little bit neglected or with designs that are a little bit rushed. It is sincerely beautiful, and I can't wait to read the next volumes. I have the volume 4, the volume 5, and I've ordered the next ones, so I am looking forward to reading them. However, I do not want to read all of the Witch Hat Atelier series in one take, so I have begun reading the 3rd volume of Broadway Limited. It's the 3rd and I think the series. And basically, in very broad terms, the story begins with Jocelyn, who's a French student going to New York City for his studies, and he's supposed to stay at a boarding house. The only thing is that Jocelyn in French is pronounced Jocelyn, but in English it's Jocelyn, which is a girl's name, and that the owner of the house didn't know, and the boarding house is only for girls. Lucky for him, Jocelyn has a special dish in his bag, and the owner allows him to stay. And we are following all of the young girls here in the 50s, just after World War II. It's great. They are switching between being actresses, singers, bartenders, anything and everything. They have beautiful outfits. They are very coquette. They're very attached to the way they look. The atmosphere, the mood is fantastic. I love it. There's not really something going on, but it's just following them in their daily life. It's beautifully written and I love it. I have almost read 2/3 of the book. I'm a bit sad, I have to say, but I'm having a great moment. Also, if you want to feel like wearing wonderful dresses, high heels and walking around in Central Park with a hot coffee in your hand, it's the perfect read. Hi friends, this is the last update of this reading vlog, and I am here to tell you that I have finished Broadway Limited Volume 3, so it was the last volume of this series, and I must say that I have a little heartache, but it was wonderful. This is a polyphonic novel, so we are following several characters, one per chapter, and the author has a mischievous joy at letting us expecting something at the end of the chapter and always pushing it forward or pushing it later, and it was sometimes nerve-wracking because you are expecting something all the book long to happen and it keeps being pushed later, but in the end you do not close the book being frustrated. It is a fantastic close to the series, to the book. I have to say that my eyes have been watering quite a lot by the end of the book, but I really enjoyed it and I can only recommend you to try the adventure and go on this journey.